Hello, everybody, and good morning. Welcome. We are today we are doing the Opus 15 Crystal Dominion ice set review. I'm just really excited for all these cards. I want to hold them. I'm actually genuinely upset that the pre-release kits got delayed, and the fact that I'm not like holding these cards. Some of these cards in my hand already is just frustrating. It is what it is, though. We are going to get them. It's next week, pretty much. 2 weeks away, technically, right? That we're gonna get stuff a week and a half. Anyway, let's get started with the ice cards, guys. Hope you've been enjoying the series. Like I said, after these, we'll definitely get into deck building and doing all the fun stuff. I have to prep for Xanarkand. So first, Amidatelian, I think we talked about this one, but put Amidatelian into the break zone until the end of the turn. All forwards your opponent controls lose haste, first strike, and brave. As far as the backup goes, this effect has been in ice for a couple of sets now, where you strip everybody of their abilities. This is the cheapest way that it is. It's fast. It's a 2-drop backup, and then you don't have to tap or use CP other than to send himself to the break zone. You can do it at any point. Also, it seems like he can be tapped already, so you can generate his CP to use whatever a card effect, and then if at some point during your opponent's turn they pretty much give haste and forward to everybody, you can just send him. You don't have to worry about keeping him active. For as far as I know, for this effect, he's the best one so far. So Were, at the end of each of your turns, if your opponent has discarded a card from their hand due to your summons or abilities this turn, draw a card. I believe I'm going to back up for a second. Yeah, great. They're right next to each other. So I want to talk about this one and Orphan at the same time. When your opponent discards one or more cards from their hand due to your summons or abilities, choose a forward your opponent controls, dull it. At the beginning of the attack phase, during each of your turns, your opponent discards one card from their hand. Now, the reason I want to talk about both of these cards together is because Ice has been in a rut. Ice has not been very relevant for a while, at least mono ice or ice dominant decks, right? Ice has some good cards, yes, but they are often they were one of the strongest for a while, I'd like to say, right? Aside from the turbo era, they were always really strong, very controlly. The discard was always annoying, but ice hasn't evolved the way other cards and other elements have, right? Like, we knew fire was the worst one, and then fire evolved into the best one. So now I think it's time that ice caught up, and it's cards like Were and Orphan that are going to do that, right? So now the value from discarding your opponent's hand is going to actually increase. It's going to actually be valuable, right? Because as long as you made someone discard, you're drawing an extra card per turn. And if you've been with me for a while, we've been talking about how the evolution of this game has been going from drawing 2 cards and then searching stuff to drawing 3 cards per turn, Tenzin, for example. And then now everyone is catching up to that point, right? Obviously, the idea is to draw more cards per turn to do more actions, where Zidane, in my opinion, Lakshmi and Sophie, things like that came from. And Bismarck, Fat Chocobos, things like that, of all those natures. Ice is finally catching up to that with this card and this card, right? And so they've evolved into whenever they discard, do something else, and that's really good progression for them. I like both of these cards. Where is gonna help. I don't know if mono ice is gonna be a thing, but this might help a wind ice discard control. And yeah, that's just about it. And Orphan is just a sick card too, so it always leaves you, when you're focusing in on the mid game, your opponent doesn't always necessarily have full grip at this point, right? It's things have been going back and forth usually, assuming you're not facing like super aggro or whatever, right? But this is the card that's going to help you push games as well. It's the cost and the curve don't even matter here, I think, because as long as you enter your attack phase, his effect is going to trigger, and they're going to have one less card in their hand, which is going to force them to do stuff preemptively, and then always keep you positive, right? You'll know what you're dealing with, right? Or you should have the mentality that if they're not discarding, or if they discard, obviously it depends on the hand size. When they discard, it's very likely they don't have enough CP to track or to play their other stuff. So they're gonna have to play differently, obviously. Scholar, choose a backup. Scholar, 2-drop backup, choose a forward. Dull it. You can only use this ability if you have cast a summon this turn. I don't like this card at all. I don't think we'll be using it. Ice has a lot of these 11 and 14 backups that just feel very unnecessary, and this is another one. Kazuza, another 2-drop ice, a 2-drop backup for ice and tap. Put Kazuza in the break, so choose a forward, break it. You can only use this ability your turn if your opponent has discarded a card from their hand due to your summons or abilities. So there's another one that I was thinking, right? Obviously, choose a forward and break it. No, doesn't need to be dull, doesn't need to be anything, is very nice. But again, it's relying on the effect that we discard something first, and this one's actually worth it, right? Because there's no stipulations on the breaking, and it's very low cost. So Kazuza might be a 1 of, or maybe a 2 of, right? Another Emperor. When the Emperor is put from the field in the break zone, you may search for one card named the Emperor of cost 5 or less and play it on the field. Someone drew a diagram for us, so whoever did that in the community, thank you very much. But it goes from this guy into the 5-drop, into the 2-drop, I think, into the 5-drop dark, and then to the legendary. I think it was a legendary last set or 2 sets ago. And then choose a dual 4, deal 8k for 4. It's okay. I don't know if eventually there'll be a deck where you have, where all the Emperors will be relevant. Same thing with the Ultros. I hope they do, and I hope there's a reason for having so many. If not, we need to stop making them. Now, Go-Go. This one's the one everyone's been talking about. When a forward or a monster you control uses an action ability, Go-Go uses the same action ability without paying the cost. This effect will trigger only once per turn. Again, another really busted hero card. I think we love this one. Right now, action abilities are running rampant in our meta. So this is going to abuse those even more. Stern and Mashiri are just the basic examples. And then monsters effects are always going to be really nice. So it's going to be very abusable, very nice. Remember, it is only once per turn, but it doesn't stipulate on your turn. So being able to double cast things on your opponent's turn is going to be where it's at. Use one ability, use a special ability that a character has used this turn, other than name Mimic, without paying its cost. So it's, again, no stipulations. So it can be your character, your opponent's characters, and it can be on any player's turn. So very strong card. 6. This is like the best Go-Go we've gotten. Obviously you play him when you're going to initiate those. He won't survive too long after that, right? He's 3/7. That's been going on. The stronger the card, sometimes the weaker they have to be, and that's normal. So obviously when you, for example, if you have the Sterns or the Mashiris already out, then you play him. Then, for example, you'll draw 2 cards or ping the 7k twice or double buff, whatever you need to do. But yeah. Zalira, the reprint, it's a good one. How relevant is it? 2s are for, your big, your Sophies, and these 2 and 3 pretty much hit monks a lot. 5 and 7 don't hit too much anymore. Maybe Bismarck, but 7 is really a luxury. So, new Shiva. Choose a forward and up to 1 other forward. Dull the former. If you have 2 or more cards named Shiva in the break zone, dull the latter. If you have 4 or more, also freeze them. If you have 6 or more, your opponent discards 2 cards. It's not bad for a 1-drop, but the Shiva package has never really been super strong. And I don't know if this is enough for me to want to play them all either. It's a really nice looking card. It's new art. I believe it's full art as well. But we have another Shiva. Before paying the cost of Shiva, you can pay a crystal to reduce the cost. Choose a dull forward, deal at 9k. All ice forwards you control gain 3,000 power until the end of the turn. Now, see, this is a summon. I really do really like how much stronger the summons are this set. The main ones, not the reprints, obviously. How much stronger they are than all the other summons we've ever had. Right? They're breaking barriers. Even if it is choose a dull forward, the damage has increased significantly, and then ice characters don't have anything like to pump their whole board, so very, 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 very strong. Again, mono ice, or ice in general, is moving in a really good direction with things like this, Were and Orphan. Sid Reigns. When Sid Reigns is put from the field in the break zone, your opponent randomly discards 1 card from their hand. Also okay. This is gonna help in limited. I don't think we really want to fit Sid Reigns into our deck. Plus, it's a really ugly card. Jumbo Flan, it's the monsters, becomes a forward 6k, but when he enters, choose a forward, dull it, and freeze it. Sure, it's not bad. Snow. When Snow enters the field, you may pay a crystal. When you do so, select one of the following 2 actions. Freeze all forwards, or freeze all backups your opponent controls. Obviously, both of your opponent controls. I like him for what he does. He is the cheapest version of his effect as well, with the exception of the crystal. To freeze all forwards and freeze all backups is very strong sometimes. I don't know if we'll be playing him though. His name is Snow, and there's so many other Snows that we're gonna play. So I'm pretty sure 13 has more characters, but they need to stop printing Snows and Lightnings. Setzer. When Setzer enters the field, you may pay a crystal. When you do so, reveal the top card of your deck. If it is a character, you may play it onto the field. Lovely. At the end of each of your turns, if a forward you control has been put from the field into the break zone, gain a crystal. Man, this guy generates a lot. That's awesome. At the end of each of your turns, if a forward you control has been... Yeah. This guy's really good, actually. Another hero. So, yeah, 6 might be really big this format again. I hope it's able to keep up with the aggro problems we're having. And if it is, then it's going to be very, very strong. Celeste, we talked about this one already, but when she enters the field, select one of the following 2 actions. Search for card name lock, or your opponent discards a card from his hand. Sorry about that, guys. This is my dog. When one or more category 6 forwards you control form a party and attacks, select one of the following 2 actions. Choose a character, freeze them, and then choose a category 6 character in your base set and add them to your hand. So I think I don't remember in which video I mentioned this, but or if it was the one I didn't publish, but the main thing you guys want to do here is make sure they party separately. You don't want to have the 6 characters party with each other if you have that option, I mean, right? The reason I say that is because you'll obviously get multiple triggers. I don't think it triggers twice if they both party. So if, like, for example, Celeste and Setzer party or whatever, right? You need to have Setzer party with someone else and then Celeste party with someone else, and then you'll get multiple triggers, right? Yeah, that's the way it's reading here. So be careful of that, obviously. Terra, look at that, back to back, all 6 characters. We talked about this one too. I don't think this is good for ice, but people are in love with it, I think. When Terra enters the field, you may reveal any number of summons from your hand. When you do so, choose up to the same number of characters as the summons revealed, dull them, and freeze them. When you cast a summon, choose up to 1 forward and up to 1 backup, dull or freeze the former, and dull or freeze the latter. So, I guess with the summons being so strong, I'm going to try to give a positive note, obviously. The effects are really nice. I don't think ice is going to benefit from it too much, but we can... It might be in the point where it could be abusable, right, too. We have a lot of really good summons this set, so, and then we're already... Doga kind of led us into the world where, 16 summons is reasonable, and this could maybe be fit in a weird deck like that. Doga's good, obviously, because of the draw engine, but now we're going to be getting multiple draws engines this set, so hopefully she's playable and not just a really pretty card, but the full arts are probably still going to go for a lot, so be careful. Knight. When Knight enters the field, gain a crystal. Put Knight into the base and choose a forward of cost 3 or less. Dull it, you can only use this ability. Very terrible second effect, but whatever. It's going to generate crystals, it'll be played. Another Mime. When a forward other than Mime enters the field, Mime's power becomes the same as the forward power until the end of the turn. Now I'm interested to know, I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but I think this effect will trigger every time, right? So when, let's say, your opponent summons multiple cards or whatever, he'll change to whatever the last one is, right? So you summon a 3-drop and then they summon a 5-drop, then he'll be 3k and then 5k, then he'll become 5k again. So it's very interesting, but you could also bait him, right? If something 3k enters and does 3k damage, then you trigger him. He's an interesting card. I don't think he'll be played, but his effect is very, very interesting. Larsos. When Larsos enters the field, choose a forward to freeze it. When Larsos leaves the field, gain a crystal. Pretty simple effect. I don't know if he'll be played though. These Spite Wardens are happening now. This is the Lightning L. What was the other L, right? It was Terra, right? Yeah. Okay. Let's go back here for a second. The cost required to cast Lightning is increased by 1 for each card in your opponent's hand. If you have 2 cards less in hand, Lightning gains 1000 power and haste in your hand. At the end of each of your turns, if each player has no cards, Lightning deals you a point of damage. So this Lightning is very, very interesting. Obviously, the first effect is going to be her crutch. It's her cripple. I mean, like, the best way to do is cheat her in somehow. She is a 1-drop, so you have a lot of cards. I believe a Snow, you can search her and play her straight from the deck. Right, so this Lightning has a lot of potential. It's very interesting. I think a lot of people are really interested in it in its third effect, to be able to keep the damage going. Again, it is the fact that she gains haste too when you have less cards makes her really strong, like on an early turn plays, right? It's definitely going to go for a very aggressive deck, and Ice is getting a lot of interesting cards, so this is, again, another nice progression, right? And I think I like this too, if you have 2 cards or less in your hand. So it's kind of revolving around you're both kind of like, well, if Ice moves into that field where it helps for you to be at a disadvantage, then that's also very strong, right? And next is Lock. We definitely read this one. If you control 2 or more Category 6 characters, the cost required to cast Lock is reduced by 1. And then on the EX burst, you can cast a Category 6 card. When you cast a 6 card, reveal the top card of your deck. If it is 6, add it to your hand. If it's not 6, put it in the break zone. So, reasonable effect. I think we play the other Locks instead. And then it's just the Rufus. So guys, that's it for the S review. In my opinion, the best cards I think are Were Orphan, Go-Go, hands down. Close follow-ups are going to be the 6 stuff like Celeste and Setzer. I'm not completely sold on the Lightning yet, but I do love this Shiva for Ice in general. So let me know which ones you think are the stronger ones and which ones you think are which ones are your favorite. Is it this one? Is it the Shiva because it's so pretty or whatever? But yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.